Hello, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You're on to Augustine, and I'm reaching out to you live from the Kringle Private Society. And I'm one of the main broadcasters within our community. And I'm reaching out to you from the broadcasting department, one of the broadcasting departments of the Kringle Private Society. And today the title of my broadcast will be All Hope is Not Lost. Good always prevails over evil. Let love guide you. That's the title of my broadcast. Now, my broadcast today will be a more of heart to heart talk, and it will be a kind of continuation of the broadcast that we had yesterday. Now, yesterday, I'll refer to it after I share my screen. Now, yesterday, the title of my broadcast is Everything is Collapsing. And I had a video that I wanted to share with you, and because of my time I couldn't share the video, and the first video I made was interrupted by network and I didn't even know, and then the second one I think was actually reasonable. So I really appreciate everyone that has taken it upon themselves to get themselves informed about this Kringle Private Society. And trust me, a whole number of us in our community are actually uninformed. And this is the reason why a whole lot will happen. And there is every tendency that they could miss out, if not completely, partially miss out, because they do not read and they do not want to listen to those who have the insight about our Kringle society. Instead, they just sit down and patiently wait until TBC becomes globally accepted by those who has worked. Please do not forget that our principle is based on meritocracy. To whom more is given, more is expected. Now, in reality, when you see that a stream has no way to flow out and has no way to flow in, what do you think will happen to the stream? Over time, it will dry out because it is waiting, and when there is no input, there is no output, and it's waiting, there is every tendency that it would dry out. And once it dries out, then it actually becomes a dead sea. Same thing applies to our Kringle Private Society. If you are sitting down doing nothing, waiting for something to happen, it's unfortunate. What will happen is that you will dry out. Drying out means you actually will lose your stewardship. So it's a call for a certain level of responsibility. Everyone that comes into the community is given a free gift, and that free gift is supposed to spoil you. That's the reason why broadcasters are there, to keep you informed. That's the reason why individuals who are your sponsors should take time to educate you on the responsibility that you are going to be handling, you know. So that said, I'm going to share my screen, and then after sharing my screen, I will just say a few things, and then we'll conclude by watching a video. And trust me, I am believing that network would not interrupt. So let me quickly share my screen and see a few things. So I think my screen is now being shared. Sorry for the interruption. And now I want to go to our Kringle Cash back office. This Kringle Cash back office is wonderful, and it's an amazement. When I come and look at this, I am amazed. We are building our membership into 1 billion. But the wonderful thing is that it's at this point that the bulk of the returns, sorry about that. Now, the bulk of our returns, that is those who will be responsible for being stewards, and I mean worthy stewards of the TBC community, will take part in. I mean, it is in this stage. These people that you are seeing here, 3,777,992. If these people are active, they are going to be the major holders of these coins, because trust me, the coins are being distributed like never before. And this is the promo now that is running. This promo will remain like this until we have depleted the admin's wallet to at least 500 million TBC. And I want to crave your indulgence if you are listening to me, that of all this promo, the one that you will enjoy the most is broadcasting. You see, broadcasting is very interesting because you express your mind and you express the innermost part of your heart. It doesn't necessarily have to do with TBC. You could speak on anything that actually, drives you, whatever be your passion. You could come up, provided your membership is paid. You could come up and express your mind and then speak out. As little as 5 to 10 minutes should suffice. But I am a broadcaster and I have a key responsibility to educate members of our community. So that's the reason why sometimes you look at my broadcast, it takes about 30 minutes because I have to effectively pass on the information. If I am not able to pass on the right information and I quickly pass a short information without explaining in depth, then in my opinion, it's like putting a bread and then the bread is not properly done, or it's by like incubating an egg and you don't properly incubate it. It's like the egg will not be good enough for eating and it wouldn't be good enough to be hatched. Now, that's why I take my time to explain. So, some of you who have been diligently listening to me and following my broadcast, although it's not all of you, and I would have wished a good number of people do, the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to give the best. And if you have been diligently following, trust me, you would not be led astray. So this promo will continue until the admin wallet gets to about 500 million TBC coins. Now, I've said this before, but I want to repeat it again. If you can, do well to enjoy this billionaire program because this billionaire program is going to set you up to become so powerful in the nearest future. Come to think about it, the intelligent, the good ones has been relegated to the background, but TBC is returning power back to those who are willing to do things the right way. It's actually creating an equal platform for people to express their minds to the fullest. So if you can, I would appreciate it if you can pay the price to remain in this billionaire level, because this level has a whole lot to offer. Now, among this billionaire level, we've talked about the core team. I'll be going into the core team shortly. But before I do so, I want to remind us that our food subsidy is still on. Do well to tell all of your customers, all of your friends, all of your downlines that they should download the app because the app is actually growing in numbers. And I must commend India. India are doing their best to make sure that, yeah, they are the ones that will set up this food subsidy. Please, for the record, the conditions to set up this food subsidy are two major conditions. Number one, we should be able to have at least 20,000 people paying their yearly or monthly subscription fee on a regular note. That's the first condition that will require us to set up a food subsidy. Second condition is we should have at least 1,000 people making a yearly or a monthly subscription fee. And with that, yes, we would have enough funds to set it up. We have already allocated $50,000 to set up a food subsidy. And then consequently, we keep paying $25,000. And as we keep doing it, it gets better and get better. Revenue continues to grow. We set up more food subsidy centers. And before you know it, Kringle Coins becomes a household medium of exchange. And then we begin to run side by side with every other currency. And then based on how the system of the public wants to operate, fine. Now, their concept is what? Global enslavement. They are having a goal, an agenda, and it's called you will own nothing by 2030 and you'll be happy. Now, they want to ensure that you will have nothing in your control. I'm going to share a video concerning that. And I don't know which one I will share particularly. There are 1,001 videos I want to share. But I think I'll just pick out one and then keep educating you. In our next video or in our next meeting, I will play out another one. So we are in a race for global adoption, and we are going to use this food subsidy as one of the avenues to win this race. It's like a booster. If you're watching a car race or you do play games, there is a booster, and once that booster is on, you can speed up and outshine all of your counterparts. And TBC, without mixing words, will stand out as a kind of currency that will be superior to every other currency. It will be adopted, accepted by all. Even at some point, even governments will begin to hold it on. Even though they don't tell people, there are some individuals who are in the government, they don't tell their other counterparts that they own Bitcoin. That's the same thing that will apply to TBC, because TBC will be so accepted that humanity will scramble to have it, even though it doesn't look like it now. So in this food subsidy, do well to download the app. If you don't know the link to the app, call my attention. You will see my phone number on WhatsApp. Send me a message. I will send the link to you. We need to unite, because the plans the elite has for us, it's not a nice one. Now, remember our yearly subscription fee, monthly subscription fee for either being a billionaire or a millionaire is a lifetime commitment. You are getting married to this system. It's a new system, and this system wants to help humanity to stand out. You can't help the world system to stand out. You can't stand out. You can't rival the elites and subdue and win the battle over the elites if you don't decide to be committed. Everything in life is about committed. It's about commitment. So you need to stand up. And then when you stand up, you step up. Now you should show up. That should be the first thing. Show up means you see this as a responsibility, and you decide in your heart to say, okay, I want to take charge and handle this. That's showing up. And it is a principle that I will use the Bible words that says, many are called, few are chosen. So if you are coming into this thing, we are giving a clarion call to as many, in fact, to the whole of humanity. And some people will show up. And then when they show up, we will continue to give out this clarion call until we get 1 billion people. We gather 1 billion people. As we are gathering 1 billion people, we are sorting them out to take the category of being a billionaire or a millionaire. And under the level of being the billionaire, which are going to be the major holders of this system, there will be a core team, there will be a mass adoption team, and there will be the billionaire level. So 3 categories in the billionaire level: core team, mass adoption team, and then the billionaires. However, the core team and the mass adoption team will play the same role at the long run. At this level, we are building up the core team, which will comprise of 11,111. What's the responsibility of the core team? Let's find out the responsibility. The top 11,111 will be on the core team and will get 100 TBC per month. However, you can also enjoy a yearly subscription of 1,000 TBC for this month and for next month. So the core team are telling you and I as members that we will remain committed to paying the yearly subscription or monthly subscription for the rest of our life. And this core team will continue to grow as responsibilities continue to come upon the TBC community. Now, I'm actually addressing this for some purpose, because emphasis matters a whole lot. People should understand what I'm doing. It's understanding. It's not as if I don't have some information to pass across, but I am emphasizing so that people will be aware. This is the promo, and thus far we have 114. This will be updated today, or most likely before the next 24 hours, and our numbers will become about 150 or more. So if you look into our core team, you will find out how many we are. Now that will actually take me there to our core team. Before I go into this core team, these are our numbers now. If I told you, if we get to 500 million, then a new game begins. A whole new game begins. But now, because we are gathering and sorting, we have gathered a whole lot of people, and we need to sort them out. We are gathered. When this gets to 500 million, we'll need to sort. That will be a time for what? It's a milestone. We need to sit down and then look at the things we've gathered. When you go for fishing, you can gather a whole lot of things. Sometimes it's not just fishes. You may get some other things that are not useful to you. You sort them out, take the fish away, and then remove those things, throw them off. That's the same thing that applies to our system. When we get to 500 million, some new members and old members, we would look at them and evaluate them. Now, we find out if they are keeping up to their stewardship as members of our community. If they are not keeping up to their stewardship, well, what do you think we're going to do? Remember, the condition is meritocracy. So if they are not able to keep up to that responsibility, it doesn't matter how many would have gone to. We may have gotten to maybe 4 million by then, I don't know. Or we may not have gotten to 4 million. But we will have to call these people into account. If you chose billionaire or you chose millionaire, whichever one you stood or you chose, you will be held and be questioned. Like, have you held onto your responsibility as a billionaire all this while? Now, if the answer is no, there is every tendency that those coins will be returned to the admin wallet, because as at that time, there will be so much demand for those coins. Possibly by then, we would have set up a food subsidy center. And once that happens, that's the trigger that will cause TBC to become another thing all entirely. That is, another thing means it will be much more desirable and preferred to paper money. Because when they compare paper money to TBC, paper money loses value, TBC appreciates under our agreement principle, membership agreements, that as a new member comes in, it impacts the value of our currency. That alone means holding on to TBC means your value keeps appreciating as members come in. And trust me, we'll get to 1 billion before you can say Jack Robinson. Just give it some time. We are finishing up some groundworks. Now, another thing is when you compare TBC to other coins, you'll find out that other coins are volatile. When you compare TBC to stable coins, the question is, what is stable coins backed up by? Is it backed up by paper money? Is it backed up by gold? What is it? Is it just backed up based on speculation? Now, if it's not backed up by anything, then that stability is to be called to question. There has always been a record of gold. There has always been a track record that gold has maintained its stability over the past 1,000 years or more. If you look into the days of the Bible, it still applied. The people there still used gold coins, and they put in the signatory or the picture of the emperor then. So these things has been gold coins, silver coins. So if you can count back to those days, it's over 2,000 years. If gold had maintained that value, it will still maintain its value till now. And we still measure our value to grains of gold. So these old people will be held into account, and they will ask them. And if they don't show up, well, that means they are not interested in TBC. We are not interested also in breeding in lazy billionaires, lazy millionaires. Everyone should be accountable for their system, understand the system, teach the system. Please put this at the back of your mind. Now, I believe I've said a whole lot. Now, remember that I said our topic for today is all hope is not lost. Let love guide you. Good will always prevail over evil. Now, when we listen to this particular video that I want to share with you, you will understand much better why I'm making use of this particular title. So let's go into our core team and then talk about our core team. And after we finish talking about our core team, I think I was supposed to talk about a few other things, but then there is too much to talk about. You can't exhaust it all in a short while. Anyway, that said, let the core team finish loading. All right, it has finished loading. Now, you must lead by example, and I want to actually show you. Now, it's not by my strength or by my skill, it's by the grace of God. There is nothing that any man has that wasn't given to him by his almighty creator. And then everything I have was given to me by my God. And it's not as if I have all the resources on earth. No, I am believing, and I understand the power of the mind. And as long as I believe that I can achieve this status of being a billionaire, trust me that it's not going to be easy. But compared to what the elites are offering you, it's going to be better to stand on our TBC system, because it offers you a whole lot. As you educate people and save their lives, you are enriched and you are becoming either a billionaire or a millionaire. Trust me, that's what happens. So I have actually achieved this membership is by the grace of God, not by my strength. I'm actually showing you, you could see it. I don't need to say it out. It speaks for itself. Now, looking at our numbers thus far, this is 5,389. Now, before now, it wasn't, I think it was 5,400 and something. I think these numbers was 5,400 and something. Now it has dropped. It was 5,400 and something. I think, yes, it was 5,400 and something, but now it has dropped. Now, some people will be asking, why did it drop? That's some questions. Let me tell you why it dropped. This is why it dropped. Look at this. This is why it dropped. Some people will make a monthly subscription fee. And some, yeah, I don't know, I don't think yearly subscription will apply. Now, this bulk credits is called Grains of Gold. Now, it has been made very, very clear and outstandingly clear that if you are going to be on the call team, you must keep paying your monthly subscription fee for now. Now, failure to pay with crypto will automatically place you on the warning list. And if you fail to pay the second day or the next month, you decide to pay with Grains of Gold. It keeps you on the second warning list. If you do it consistently for 3 months, then what happens is you are off the call team. That's exactly what happens. You are off the call team. So this is exactly what caused these numbers to go down to 5,400 and something. So what am I actually driving at? I'm actually saying if you are in this TBC community, please do well to be faithful in paying on a monthly basis or on a yearly basis using what? Cryptocurrency, not Grains of Gold. These people who paid this thing in Grains of Gold may not have even known that there is a price for paying in Grains of Gold. Grains of Gold will apply to the rest of the people in the TBC community, not the core team. Core team has by default accepted to keep the community running, and we will have up to 40,000 core team members so that we can set up a food subsidy. And how that would happen is by merchants coming in and accepting to use TBC as partial payment for goods and services. And of course, they are paid richly and handsomely in residual income Bitcoin bounties. So we should learn to teach the system. If tomorrow these people are not able to meet up, their expiry date is by September, by 10th. I think, I'm sorry, yeah, 10th is September. I think it's 10th. 10th is September. I'm not so sure. Yeah, but once they keep paying on a monthly basis with Grains of Gold, they are off. Another thing I should also clarify is if you fail to pay on a monthly basis if you continue paying on a monthly basis Grains of Gold, okay, no, let me say it again. If you pay this month with Grains of Gold, the following month you pay with crypto, the following month you pay with crypto, and you are still having an outstanding, that outstanding of Grains of Gold has to be met up with. You should not owe the system. Let me make use of that so that it will be made in simple terms. You should consistently pay in Grains of Gold. It's just like paying for your house rent. You cannot owe. You can decide to say, okay, give me like 3 months notice. I will pay up before the 3 months expire. Failure to do so, well, you'll be evicted from the house. It is the same thing that applies. So please, let's take note of this because I'm taking note of these numbers. These numbers was about 5,400 and it wasn't 300 and because I'm taking note of everything going on in the TBC community at the same time. And something happened, it went down. It will continue to go up and down, up and down. Like I said, we are gathering and we are sorting out. And we are doing it, everything is happening behind the scene. So please don't fall into the category of being lackadaisical and then, having a laissez-faire attitude. Give TBC your best. TBC are looking for new breeds of billionaires, people who are diligent, disciplined, dedicated to their work. And I trust that if you do your part, yes, you'll be able to get it. We are having call-ins from every walks of life. It's not just people coming from different countries, but people who are willing to stand. We are looking for people who will stand the test of time because TBC has come to stay. If you fail to stand with TBC, well, TBC will keep moving forward with those who are willing to stand. So let love guide you. If you are doing everything, you are made up of energy, and your energy must push, must speak from the perspective of love. If you are being antagonistic about people, well, you are generating an energy that will speak against you. So let love be the motivating factor to guide you. All right, on that said, we are going to share our video. And I've said quite a lot. I was supposed to also say a whole lot concerning under education send button test. But, well, time has gone. I've said a whole lot. I will continue again by the grace of God tomorrow. But tomorrow's video will be very short. I have a whole lot to attend to. But because I've dedicated my life to make sure that I give you guys fresh information, I'll continue doing it. And so help me God. So let's watch this video. And after that, I think that will be all. pay good attention to what this individual has to say. The title of this video is "The Dollar is Going to Collapse." If the dollar collapses, what do you think will be the alternative? Well, the elite has told you you will own nothing and you'll be very happy. But I tell you that you will own everything provided you agree to work with the TBC community. You know, this information, I will expound upon it over time. And if you are consistently following me, you will understand much better. All right.
Central bankers have stolen the free markets, and here we thought it would be the communists. Printing money causes inflation. That's what a crashing dollar is. It's crashing in value and making you spend more dollars to get the same goods than before the crash. The Fed says there's nothing to worry about. Inflation is just going to magically come back down. We are still going to be at 2% inflation. So, we can keep the printing presses going with the pedal to the metal, and we are going to have these huge deficits. We are going to print all this money, and there is nothing to worry about. Well, you better worry. This crisis will be much worse than 2008, and unlike 2008, nobody's getting a bailout. The reason the Fed...
Please, did you hear what they said? There is no one getting a bailout. Instead, it will be a bail-in. Go and Google what bail-in is. Bail-in means you have money in your accounts, and they've already written it as an act, which has already been approved. So that clearly means your money will be converted into their money. You become a shareholder in a system that is collapsing, even without you consenting. That's what is coming next. Trust me, it's going to be total control, totalitarianism. It's your choice. When the time comes, you will choose either to work with a system based on the principle of debt or with our system. Now is your opportunity. Come in and stay in. Like they said, show up, step up, and I've forgotten the third one, but let's play out. Just listen.
Could do the bailouts as the Fed could print the money to fund the bailout. The next crisis is the dollar that is going to be in crisis. The dollar is going to be crashing, and they can't bail anybody out from a dollar crash because all they can do is print more dollars, which will just accelerate the collapse of the dollar. The warning is simple. This is a completely dysfunctional economy that is going to collapse when the bottom drops out of the dollar. I think that crisis is close at hand. The credit catastrophe that we warned about is rapidly approaching. Right now, the biggest kink in the goods chain is transportation, whether container ships backed up at ports or the shortage of long-haul truck drivers. Buy local and stock up while supplies last. I used to think 3 months of supplies was sufficient. Now it appears that 1 year is more appropriate. When you are buying canned goods like beans and veggies, don't forget the fruit for a balanced diet. Definitely get a water filter and the means to get rainwater and store it. Potable water is our biggest infrastructure problem. Welcome back to the Atlantis Report. You are here for your daily dose of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Please take a second to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to also hit the notification bell. Thank you. 1. The dollar, world reserve currency, collapse is a well-planned event, a sought-after outcome of the massive increase in fiat. 2. Bitcoin was deliberately created by the power that be to familiarize the public with crypto, cashless currency. The meteoric rises in Bitcoin values have ensured huge publicity, ergo, publicity as intended. As a result, few people can honestly claim never to have heard of Bitcoin, and most think of it as a cryptocurrency. When Bitcoin collapses, as pre-planned, the power that be will claim it's because it was not centrally controlled. Bitcoin was also depicted as a gold coin.
Hold on, please. There is something I want to say before this will continue. Now, are you seeing clearly? If you listen to my video, refer back to my video yesterday. I said it's a crazy idea for us to not have a central controlled system. And these guys understood this. They have a plan. Watch what will happen. But listen, we will take over the narrative, not them. Okay? So this guy is just giving his opinion. But trust me, as TBC builds, we will control the narrative. Take this. Okay? So listen, keep listening.
Even though it's ethereal, with the intention of diverting investment away from real gold. 3. When fiat dollars and non-central bank cryptos collapse, the power that be will step into the breach with their centrally controlled crypto fiat currency. The IMF and World Bank are ready and waiting. They need the overt collapse of the current world reserve currency, and the Fed is assisting in this effort. To claim, as some do, that the Fed does not know what it's doing is, in my opinion, naive. 4. The pandemic is in part to collapse the private sector economy. Small businesses forced by edict to close while multinational chain stores were permitted to stay open. Small businesses, as a rule, do not have deep financial pockets to sustain long closures, and many have ceased trading, as planned. The forced closures of retail, leisure, sports clubs, and travel also provided necessary deflation and reduced velocity of money to offset the concurrent hyperinflationary money printing. Very effective disguise. In my opinion, the power that be know exactly what they are doing. Everything is going to plan. The plan is to alter human nature and to control what we do, where we go, with whom we associate, and thereby to stifle any possibility of organized revolt. 5. The owner of the reservation demands absolute obedience. Obedience will be rewarded with tokens that may only be exchanged at the company store. The Federal Reserve is keeping interest rates at artificially low rates through their monthly purchases, 80 billion of treasuries and 40 billion of mortgage-backed securities. If and when the Fed starts to gradually reduce their monthly purchases, then there should be an increase in interest rates. The Fed knows that they are responsible for the surge in equities and real estate. The Fed also knows that equities and real estate will crash without their continued intervention. The fall in the rate is a function of the risk-off moves in the market, probably since the Fed started floating QE tapering talk. Traders fleeing risk assets and moving into treasuries, more buyers so the seller can lower the price, the rate, and still make sales. Pretty simple. If taper talk turns into hot air and it's back to risk on and fewer traders want treasuries, then this should rise to attract buyers. We've been conditioned to homes going up in value, and with the slow demise of the almighty buck when measured against other comers, they'll continue to do so, being in effect money in the bank. We're already seeing an odd rush for old stucco now. Instinctively, we're used to it being a security blanket that never wavered. Imagine a dollar valued at 1/20th of now in Southern California homes fetching a couple million for fixer-uppers. This is where the Sharpie arbitrage types come along and buy the jewels for a pittance when measured in something that matters, not dollars. The USA will use to the maximum the advantage of the global reserve currency status of the dollar to cover for its economic inefficiencies. It has done so for a very long time, but never at this pace and this much. Though this comes at a high cost, one that will follow us in generations to come. It has given birth to an obscene superiority self-image amongst the wealthy and powerful, christened as American exceptionality. For them, there is no real incentive to perform, reform, or deliver, nor are there any consequences for failure. In time, they relied more and more on the power of the dollar, and their jobs went from a nabbing wealth generating environments, shaping society to become prosperous, to distributing wealth to whom they see worthy and exceptional. No matter how they perform, no matter what they mess up, there is the mighty dollar to save them, and an evil Russia, China, Germany. Who is next to blame? It is a well full of poison they are drinking from, and they are teaching everyone to do the same. The poison acts slowly, numbing first your mind, blurring your vision, changing your perception of reality. Then it takes over your body, you become slow and tired easily. Finally, when you have it all, it comes and takes your soul. Being a reserve currency itself is not indicative of trade surplus or deficit. However, I would amend this to being a reserve currency being used outside of its home economy may require running deficits. The euro and yen, for example, are limited to their home economy's respective share in the world GDP and trade. They're being run as instruments to advantage their own economies versus the US, so at least some part of said surpluses are explicitly a function of enabling the US to run dollar deficits. China skipped the step of making the RMB the primary vehicle of currency manipulation. Instead, they use the monopoly power of its enormous labor force and supply chain control. As I've noted before, the primary reason the RMB is not a reserve currency is that it is not freely traded, because enabling this also enables mass capital flight out of China, which the CCP does not want. Its 2015 experiment proved this clearly. Any opening up of restrictions would result in trillions of capital leaving the country. As such, I think it is premature to say that the decline of the dollar is going to always be gradual. The real test will be when, not if, China decides on some form of an external RMB. The same labor force and supply chain control mean there is more than sufficient trade impetus to rapidly propel China from its 2.5% reserve currency status to something closer to the 20% which percentage China's GDP as part of world GDP. Note US GDP is 24.5% or so of world GDP. The delta between the 59.5% US dollar reserve status and US GDP to world GDP is the benefit of being a reserve currency. In trade terms, the situation is worse for the US. The US is 8.5% of world export trade and 17% of world import trade. Given the previous notes on currency manipulation, it seems likely that the 17% is skewed high as an outcome, meaning actual baseline US share of world trade is more likely in the very low teen. Compared to the EU share of world trade, 16%, China share of world trade, 13% plus, and Japan share of world trade, approximately 3%. What impact would a 10% or 20% fall in the US dollar usage as trade reserve currency mean? Absolute value-wise, total world trade is around $190 billion. Each trade dollar has an impact beyond its presence on one or both sides of a trade. There is the central bank reserve, there is the profit, there is the reserve behind the transaction held by the trader, and ultimately, the bank behind it. I have yet to see credible estimates of this impact, but it seems safe to say each 10% of US dollar reserve currency status means at least $30 billion in free cash flow. The overperformance of the US dollar in global trade thus equates to something like $100 billion in free cash flow every year. If we treated these US dollar as an export, which they are, it would be 60% more than the single largest category of US physical exports, planes, and nearly as much as the top two combined, planes and refined petroleum. Cars are number 3, ICs are number 4. What would the economic impact be of losing 1/2 to 2/3 of any nation's single largest export? And at this point, it seems 100% clear to me that China will do so. Some people have noted that the trade deficit, closely related to the reserve currency benefit, corresponds to the outsize of American military expenditures versus the rest of the world. American activities with said military are such that China and Russia believe that the best way to combat it is simply to defund it. The Belt and Road Initiative and similar programs are the first step. This was the Atlantis Report.
All right, I believe this information has been effectively passed across. Now, I'll stop here. I've spent a whole lot. So till I come your way again tomorrow, cheers and do have a wonderful day. Bye for now.